Malaysia apparently has an integrity problem. At least, that is what Transparency International is saying after we dropped 7 notches in the latest Corruption Perception Index to 62nd place. And our score fell to 47 points compared with 50 in 2016, Malaysia's worst reading in 4 years. Now, I must be clear in stressing that this metric doesn't mean that our country is more corrupt than before. But to the outside world, Malaysia is now a dirtier place to do business. MACC, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, was quick to jump to its own defense. It says it is shocked by the result of this index as it does not reflect the aggressive efforts carried out by MACC in combating corruption throughout last year. And it argued that because the finding is based on foreign expats, it does not reflect the reality of the situation. And to MACC's credit, it has been cracking down. It has launched programs such as GERA with the aim at getting the public to participate in the fight against graft. We have also seen a slew of stories from the media of datos and top executives getting arrested due to corruption last year in cases like FGV and Penang's undersea tunnel. And of course, who can forget MACC's biggest cash seizure ever after it nabbed 2 senior Sabah Water Department officials last October?
And it took MACC officer 15 hours to count the cash.
So, if you are looking at the glass half full, MACC has clearly been bringing to task some individuals who exploit their position for their own gain. But on the half-empty side of things, many would argue that the much bigger fish are still getting away. No one has been penalized, meaning jail time in Malaysia over 1MDB and the Scorpion submarine deal. Jolo is still sipping champagne on his yacht in parts unknown. And mind you, we are not just doing badly on the Corruption Perception Index. There is a separate index by the World Justice Project which surveys rule of law and perceptions of corruption. While Malaysia did climb 3 spots this year, we are still ranked 53 out of 113 countries, scoring badly on adherence to constraint on government powers, open government, regulatory enforcement and fundamental rights. Whether MACC wants to acknowledge it or not, perception is important. If people believe your restaurant is infested with rats, even if you have proof that it isn't, nobody is going to eat your char kway teow. And most importantly, this index could at some levels hinder foreign investment into the country, which limits economic growth. According to Transparency International, almost a fifth of executives surveyed by Ernst & Young claimed they lost business to a competitor who paid bribes, while more than a third felt corruption was getting worse here. Brushing aside how people think of our country and coming up with your own index is not going to help. We have to stop this perception that you can bribe to get your way around here. Because this is exactly what we are hearing from the street now. Look, this index ain't a math test. It's quite impossible for a country to score 100. But what we can do is learn from the higher ranked countries on how to crack down on corruption. Like our neighbour Singapore, they actually have proper practices in place, and it's not simply their kiasunas driving them to score well in everything. The country actually moved up 1 rank to be at the 6th position. The most well-publicised move is that politicians in Singapore are paid handsomely, which is seen as a deterrent so that they won't be so easily swayed by bribes. And at the basis of that, there must be strong political will to keep the house clean. And as from what we can learn from the number 1 ranked country, Hobbyland, aka New Zealand, is that it does not only have higher levels of media freedom, but there is also greater access to official information. And even if we have that, we as a country can always do better. Don't bury your head in the sand and think that coming up with an alternate index is the solution. Just saying.